First tonight, that major breaking news. Former President Donald Trump has now been released from the hospital. This comes after Pennsylvania State Police confirm shots were fired at a rally for the former president. This is while he was speaking on stage. A district attorney in western Pennsylvania says the suspected gunman and a person attending that event were killed. We also know this is being investigated as a possible assassination attempt. Lauren Linder has the latest on what happened.
Take a look at what happened.
Secret Service agents rushed former President Donald Trump off stage after shots were fired, moments after he began speaking at a Saturday evening rally in Butler County, Pennsylvania. The Secret Service says a man attending the rally was killed. A doctor standing nearby tried to help him, performing CPR.
The guy had spun around and was jammed between the benches. He had a headshot here.
Trump raised his fist as he left the stage. On his Truth Social site, the former president said he was shot by a bullet that pierced the upper part of his right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin, he wrote. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening.
I just hear these 4 shots and everybody screaming drop, and you can see the blood like splatter on his face, and the Secret Service just barricades him.
The Secret Service says the gunman was outside the cordoned-off area of the rally, standing on an elevated structure, and that he was shot and killed by a member of the agency's counter-assault team. A large number of Secret Service agents is in Milwaukee right now ahead of the convention. They're trying to piece together what happened here in Butler. President Biden spoke a couple hours after the shooting.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this.
This was Trump's last rally ahead of next week's Republican convention in Milwaukee. He was taken away in a motorcade and again held up his fist as he got into his SUV.
And Trump himself also released a statement following all of that chaos, saying, quote, I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on that shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed, and also to the family of another person that was badly injured. 12 News law enforcement analyst Stephen O'Donnell joins me now. As we saw, Secret Service just rushes in, taking former President Donald Trump to the ground for his safety. What is the significance of, getting him down?
What you see right in front of the president is armor plates, and that's by design. Put him under there if they're going to take other fire. Then he's protected from that until they have an assessment of the situation. They can move him safely. They're communicating through the earpiece. Once they felt they can move him safely, get him to the motorcade where he's a little bit more safe than out in the open ground, and get him to a hospital.
And it looks like at some point they actually create kind of like a human shield around him too.
They do. That's how they're trained. They're trained to take a bullet. For this case, it's the former president, to make sure that's their job. Unfortunately, when they protected him, you saw an agent put his hand over his head to protect the vulnerable piece, with the president not being down as a big guy. So, but the key is to get him out of there safely and get him into a vehicle and get him to the hospital. And right now, reports are saying that the suspect was neutralized rather quickly here. It's a good Secret Service story. Somewhere in this, they're going to figure out that someone identified that person up on a roof. Snipers got to him quick. Their counter-assault team, they're the best in the world, and they did their job. And I know tonight there are a lot of new angles to this, but it is being investigated as a sniper incident so far. So this person was outside of the security perimeter. Yeah, they have 3 tiers, 1, 2, and 3. So 133 yards, basically, is where this person supposedly was, is beyond that secure perimeter. There's still a perimeter that goes with that. The after-action report will detail that. They'll take a good hard look at what the pros. We just talked about the pros. They neutralized the suspect pretty quickly, and loss of life was less because much more could happen with a high-capacity weapon. And secondly, how the Secret Service can look at distance. especially these outdoor venues. They're very difficult to police them wherever they may be, elevated places in Pennsylvania or New York City or wherever they may be. It's going to change a little bit how the Secret Service looks at that. But all in all, the Secret Service performed. And those men and women trained day in and day out to do that. And that counter-assault team, they're the best. And you don't see them. You see suits and ties until those armed personnel come up and they did their job.
All right, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Obviously, a lot of reaction is pouring in. I also Zoomed with Congressman Seth Magaziner, who says no one can tolerate violence like this.
It would be a mistake for anyone to try to score political points off of this. You know, we conduct elections here based on the ideas and the character of the candidates. And that should be what matters. There may be people on the other side who we disagree with strongly, but at the end of the day, these are our neighbors, these are our family and our friends, and violence is not the answer. And if you think you are helping your cause by contemplating violence, you are not. So this is a time, as President Lincoln said, for us to appeal to our better angels.
Tonight, Massachusetts Trump campaign chairman Thomas Hodgson is reacting to what happened. We're also hearing from our political analyst, Joe Fleming. 12 News reporter Lauren Brill is live in studio tonight with more on what they had to say.
Well, Sheena, Thomas Hodgson tells me he was watching the rally live and witnessed this moment, calling this act of violence shocking. He was angry someone would attempt to harm the former president, and now more eyes will be on the presidential candidate as they're gearing up for the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee next week. He believes this will unite the Republican Party and people will back Trump even more.
There's not only going to be additional security there, which they already have put in place, but he's going to have all these delegates who are going to be there paying attention to every single detail. And everywhere he goes now, it's not just going to be the security and the Secret Service people that are going to be paying attention to everything. It's all these people who were so married to what he wants to do for us.
Hodgson tells me he still believes Trump will win in Massachusetts. Now the question is, how will this impact the rest of the presidential race as we get closer and closer to Election Day? Our 12 News political analyst Joe Fleming tells me he does not think either candidate, Trump or Biden, will shy away from being with the voters going forward.
Good. If almost the two candidates or one of the candidates now stops doing public appearances, the voters will look at that saying, you know, they're hiding. And the thing is, though, I don't see that happening with either one of these two candidates. They both want to be out there. Donald Trump wants to be out there with his supporters, and Joe Biden wants to be out there with his supporters. So neither one of these candidates, I believe, will even think about hiding from the voters. They're going to be out there, and they're going to be out there from now until November.
And Fleming says this shows how divided our country truly is at this time and predicts that security measures will be ramped up going forward as both candidates continue to campaign. Live in studio, I'm Lauren Brill, 12 News.